It's a cold case 3,500 years old. The search for a female pharaoh. More powerful than Cleopatra or Nefertiti, a woman who ruled as a man.
One of the most important, powerful lady on the earth.
She began the golden age of Egypt, the riches King Tut would inherit. And then she disappeared. Her name was Hatshepsut, and if you've never heard of her, there's a reason. Her images were erased. Her body vanished from its tomb. Now Zahi Hawass and his team are setting out to track down the mummy of this lost queen, to discover who did this to her and why.
Okay, let's go.
They will launch a forensic investigation using CT scans and the first DNA test ever conducted on the hunt for a pharaoh. After more than 3,000 years, will the missing queen be found? It's ancient Egypt's greatest unsolved mystery, and it starts here.
You guys be careful.
300 feet under the Valley of the Kings.
The walls are all crumbly. The roof is untrustworthy. Really?
The last known whereabouts of a mysterious queen. Her name, Hatshepsut. And this is her tomb, KV-20.
Oh, boy. There's just a small crack between the rotten ceiling and the floor, but it doesn't look very good. But even this little room we're in right now looks like it's ready to collapse.
Let's just get it done and get out of here.
Yeah, you don't like it either, do you?
Nope.
Like this?
You're right.
To try and get in there right now would be very, very, very dangerous. Yeah. Okay.
Egypt's top archaeologist, Zahi Hawass, is determined to clear a path into the sealed chamber. For years, he's been obsessed with the story of Hatshepsut, trying to find out what happened to her and where her mummy might be.
She ruled Egypt in the Golden Age as a woman. We know very little about her. And that's why I think it's very important for us to search for her mummy.
But the tunnel to her tomb has been collapsing for decades. To clear the rubble, Zahi's diggers head down into the earth. Floodwaters have caused these walls to crumble.
No touch.
The passage takes them deep underground. Like their forebears thousands of years ago, they're tunneling through the darkness with only buckets and shovels and hundreds of tons of rock overhead. This is the last place Hatshepsut was ever seen. She wasn't just a queen, she was a pharaoh who ruled as a man, leading the largest kingdom of the ancient world, Egypt, during its most powerful dynasty. Her trade expeditions were groundbreaking, the scale of her building program unprecedented. In fact, she was King Tut's ancestor. But we know so little about her. The reason? Someone actually tried to wipe out her name from the pages of history. Her achievements were systematically erased, her statues smashed, her legacy destroyed, and her mummy itself vanished. Like any missing persons case, the search for Hatshepsut must start in the place she disappeared. Here, the Valley of the Kings, and this tomb known as KV-20, corkscrewing nearly 35 stories into the ground. Through 2 days, the men have been working. They've removed tons of rubble. Eventually, the chamber is revealed. Now Zahi must ascend into the tomb. Hatshepsut herself had this grave built, the very first one in the Valley of the Kings.
It's like the ancient times. And the stone rubble are everywhere. It's very loose.
This is the deepest tomb in Egypt. Many believe the deepest in the world.
We are under the mountain now. Can you imagine? I think we are almost now 450 feet under the ground. It's very difficult to breathe. I can feel there is no oxygen. God, that's the end of the tunnel. And now I will enter the burial chamber of Queen Hatshepsut.
Hawass has been to hundreds of tombs, but this one isn't like any of the others. He's the first person to enter this burial chamber in 100 years.
Oh, this is fantastic. God, it's very impressive. I never really thought that I would feel this, something inside. Very impressed. I'm very impressed. Archaeology is adventure. It's so amazing. Look at the burial chamber of the queen that I have never seen before.
This is where Hatshepsut's mummy and her sarcophagus were placed by her priests.
It was found in this place important evidence to prove that the queen was actually buried in this tomb.
But the next time that sarcophagus was seen, it was empty. Her body has been missing for centuries. Was it actually moved thousands of years ago? Was it destroyed? Where is her mummy?
This is the beginning of the search, is entering in the tomb. And after that, we have to decide what's happened to the mummy after that.
Now the hunt for this lost queen begins. Zahi and his team will head out across Egypt to find her missing mummy. And Egyptologist Dr. Karakuni will look for Hatshepsut's story to discover once and for all why this great woman was removed from history.
So I'm looking at these images of Hatshepsut, removed here, removed here. She's removed here from this purification scene, goes all the way up to the ceilings. They brought in scaffolding to remove her everywhere that they could. What I don't understand is what it was that this woman did that was so wrong and horrible that they had to actually remove her image, remove her names, make sure that she ceased to exist in that Karnak temple space. And the thing is, this is not just in this room, it's not just in Karnak temple, it's in the entire Theban region, it's in all of Egypt. The images of Hatshepsut as king had to be removed.
So what happened to her? The search for her story begins at Karnak Temple, one of the largest religious complexes in the world. And vast amounts of it were built by Hatshepsut herself. A groundbreaking find has just been made here.
Oh, there is something. Oh.
And Zahi Hawass is on his way to check it out. A French team digging in the shadows of an obelisk erected by Hatshepsut has discovered something unexpected.
It's a face, beautiful. The mouth.
A statue, an image buried by Hatshepsut herself.
C'est magnifique.
Right next to the statue, a tiny object bearing Hatshepsut's name. It's called a cartouche and it seems insignificant, but it's the pharaoh's royal seal.
Extraordinaire.
The hunt for Hatshepsut's body is underway, and at Karnak Temple, they're trying to piece together her story. Dr. Francois Larcher is responsible for reconstructing the great monuments here. One of his first projects was the rebuilding of Hatshepsut's place of worship, the Red Chapel. The hieroglyphs on its walls, for those able to read them, tell an amazing story. The story of Hatshepsut's life, her wild rise to power. She is born a princess, the daughter of a pharaoh, Thutmose I. As the king's daughter, she is tutored to follow in his footsteps, even though she is a girl, in a kingdom run by men.
I would love to say that Thutmose I saw in his daughter an ability to rule, even though she was a woman, that maybe his own son didn't have.
Had she been a boy, she'd have been next in line to rule. But when her beloved father dies, it's her half-brother, Thutmose II, who inherits the throne. Her father's son by a harem wife, he's only partly royal. But to bolster his credentials, he marries the young Hatshepsut, his half-sister. Now she's just a royal wife, until something happens that will change her life.
Every disaster differs. Yet the root of each is strangely familiar.
It was like reading a really badly written novel.
Bizarre coincidences, twisted ironies, and an inconceivable chain of bad luck.
If there's anything you could possibly imagine happening, did.
Disaster's perfect formula, brewing on the most deadly. Premieres tonight on Discovery Channel. All new and exciting this August on Discovery Channel. No tall tales go unchallenged with the Mythbusters. The Turtles kick up a storm down under American Chopper Australia. The fight to be number one, Ultimate Olympics. It's a battle of the superpowers. Mean Machines Transatlantic Challenge. August on Discovery Channel.
Didn't have a crime, we didn't have a victim, we didn't have evidence of anything.
I wish I could tell you how I know these things.
I sat there in meditation for a little while. With that, I had a vision.
The image I kept having was this naked body, multiple wounds, rape.
All the information that she saw was exactly the truth.
Crime Scene Psychics. Wednesday nights on Discovery Channel.
In downtown Cairo, the search for Hatshepsut's mummy is just gearing up. How do you track down someone who has been missing for 3.5 millennia? To know what they're looking for, Zahi Hawass and his team have assembled a checklist from the facts and images of the time. Age, 40 to 50. Eyes, broadly spaced. Nose, aquiline. Mouth, small. Face, heart-shaped. She will have the fine linen wrappings of a pharaoh and the bent arm that signifies royalty, both typical of the mummification style of the 18th dynasty. With this information, Zahi Hawass has come up with a list of suspects, unidentified mummies he believes might be Hatshepsut. Now he's on the trail of his first lead. But tracking down the pharaoh's mummies is never easy. Hawass knows that they've been shifted from tomb to tomb over the centuries by priests to save them from thieves and plunderers. When they were moved, the mummies' names were often lost.
The priests have to save the mummies. What they did first, they took mummies from their original tombs and they put it nearby. And this is why I do have a belief that the mummy of Queen Hatshepsut was moved from her tomb, Cave 20, to the tomb nearby.
That's why Hawass has turned to a tomb not far from Hatshepsut's original burial place. A tomb discovered in 1903 by Howard Carter of King Tut fame. It's known as KV-60. But it was forgotten for nearly a century until rediscovered by explorer Don Ryan. 2 mummies were found here. One, in a coffin marked with the name of Hatshepsut's nanny, was moved to the Cairo Museum. The other is still here, a mystery.
This is a perfect place to hide the mummy of the queen.
This is the face of a woman who lived 3,500 years ago. A woman who believed that if her body was preserved, her spirit would last for eternity. She has the powerful physique of a queen. The question is this Hatshepsut?
It's in a perfect condition. Actually, one of the most preserved mummy.
Since it's just a makeshift coffin, the team rips it apart to get a better look. What Zahi is hunting for are the identifying clues that match his checklist. He finds several, the high-grade linen and elegant wrapping of a royal, and that's just the start.
She has her right hand on her chest. This is a mark of royalty. The face is beautiful face, shows a strong lady, very strong lady, as a matter of fact, strong, impressive royal mummy.
Now they have to prepare the mummy for transport to the forensic lab in Cairo. But the bones are brittle with age.
Very tense. You have to be careful with the mummy. You have to care about the safety of the mummy. Perfect. Very good. This is fine. We have to tell this mummy goodbye for now until we see the mummy in Cairo.
Emerging from the sleep of centuries, the body in this box could be Hatshepsut. For the first time in 3,500 years, it leaves the Valley of the Kings. For the first time ever, it journeys through airport security. It's just a warm-up for the CT scan to come as it heads to the Cairo Museum. Besides the two mummies, one other clue was found in tomb KV60, a distinctive mask. The gold has been scraped off by tomb robbers, but another detail is intriguing. It's a female face with a notch cut into the chin, an indentation to hold a pharaoh's false beard. For a woman who ruled as a man, could this be a clue? A little girl who became a pharaoh. As a 12-year-old married to her half-brother, Hatshepsut is destined to be just another queen in the shadow of her husband. But Thutmose II is weak, and according to many, Hatshepsut is the power behind the throne. When her husband dies, everything changes.
A huge burden is placed upon her. At the age of 15, her husband dies, the king dies, and she then has to be regent for this toddler that's not her son, it's her stepson, her nephew. And all of a sudden she's thrust into that position again of having to take extreme responsibility for the entire country of Egypt and for her dynastic line.
As a 15-year-old regent, Hatshepsut must safeguard a stepson, Thutmose III, a daughter, Neferure, and an entire nation. But as her stepson gets closer to the age when boys become kings, a series of bold moves makes it clear the regent queen isn't ready to give up the power.
Okay, this block really says it all. This block sets up the co-regency. Here we have Hatshepsut, and her name is here. Thutmose III, his name is here. This is a strange scene because this woman was supposed to be the regent only for this king. But if you look at it, she's in the primary position. She's first, she takes precedence.
At 22, Hatshepsut is about to make the boldest move ever.
Hatshepsut does something unprecedented. In a time of prosperity, she takes the kingship, she takes the throne as a woman.
From this moment on, she is no longer just Queen Hatshepsut. She is the Pharaoh Ma'at-Ka-Ra, king of Upper and Lower Egypt.
She goes through the complex ritual of coronation here at this place in Thebes at the Temple of Karnak. Complex ritual activity, having to put on the crown, the regalia, even though she's a woman.
It's the clothing of a man, but that doesn't stop Hatshepsut either.
So if Hatshepsut wanted to take power of all of Egypt, she had to do so as a king, which means that she had to change her femininity, she had to dress as a man, she had to wear a false beard. She had to completely morph herself into a man so that she could take control of this place that revolves around male power.
In this one moment, a woman becomes a pharaoh, equal to, if not greater, than King Thutmose III.
In a way, you could look at this moment, this coronation, where she takes on the regalia of kingship as her doom, as the thing that ends up bringing her down, as the reason that people have to erase her from history.
Some say she's seizing power wrongly. Some say she's just trying to protect her nation. Some even suggest that this action will fuel her stepson's lifelong hatred. Either way, this one radical act changes everything and sets her demise in motion.
On the next Man vs. Wild, survival expert Bear Grylls shows you how you can make it out alive as he takes on the dangerous terrain of the Costa Rican rainforest. Man vs. Wild, tonight on Discovery Channel. On the next 0 hour, 600 of Peru's most powerful people are held hostage by a desperate man willing to kill for the woman he loves. 0 hour, tonight on Discovery Channel. All new and exciting this August on Discovery Channel. No tall tales go unchallenged with the Mythbusters. The Turtles kick up a storm down under American Chopper, Australia. The fight to be #1, Ultimate Olympics. It's a battle of the superpowers. Mean Machines Transatlantic Challenge. August on Discovery Channel. They're the disasters that shocked the world.
It was almost something out of a bad movie.
Leaving only hope and prayer in their midst. Demanding answers to how and why. Commanding a legacy of never again.
Todos los días, en algún momento del día, yo tengo algún flashback o algún recuerdo.
Blueprint for Disaster. Tomorrow night on Discovery Channel. What if traffic was a thing of the past? What if the most powerful computer you owned was your car? What if science fiction just became science? What will you be driving in the not-so-distant future? The greatest minds in engineering will give you a fascinating glimpse in this special 4-part series, Future Car. Thursday nights on Discovery Channel.
On the hunt for Hatshepsut, Zahi and his team have already found one mummy that could be her. Now they're heading up into the hills on the trail of another.
We have to go everywhere that we can believe that the mummy was buried. Maybe in the cave of mummies, in Cave 20, Cave 60, all the places that we can smell the queen.
Their destination? A remote cliff-top cave known as DB320. Concealed deep in the mountains, it was a great storehouse of mummies. In fact, dozens of royal corpses were found here. They were hidden away in these caches by priests to protect them from tomb robbers. Among the mummies, several members of Hatshepsut's own family.
Her father found in this cachette, her husband found in the cachette, Thutmose III found in the cachette, and there is some piece, an important piece, belonging to the queen, was found there.
In this secluded location behind the Valley of the Kings, 2 mysterious queens were found that were never identified. 2 possible Hatshepsuts, buried at the bottom of a shaft.
The priests of the 21st dynasty, they came and they dug this shaft because they know that this shaft will hide the tombs of the pharaohs for a long time.
Zahi is heading inside, but getting there won't be easy.
It's over 35 feet deep. How they did this at night, that's really is something that we have to imagine. Dark, no one can see anything. And they never revealed this to anyone. It was completely sealed. All the secrets of the past were hidden in this shaft.
Okay.
It's the first time Zahi has been here.
Perfect. God, they cut this in the solid rock.
Among the 40 mummies found here were most of Hatshepsut's family. Her father, her brother, her stepson, her grandmother and grandfather. That's why it makes sense that she herself might have been hidden here after she was moved from KV-20.
It's a perfect place for hiding the mummies. And they were right. They were hidden for a long time.
Was this Hatshepsut's final resting place?
We're getting to the last chamber. The chamber which most of the mummies were found.
Two of those royal mummies are still unidentified. When archaeologist Gaston Maspero found them, he called them Unknown Woman A and B. Zahi has always wondered if one of them could be Hatshepsut. The most compelling clue was a small funerary box found beside them. A box with a mummified liver inside. Inscribed on the front, Hatshepsut's name. This is the one item we know for sure was hers, and it was found right here.
I really can smell the steps of the people who came to hide these mummies more than 2,700 years ago. But we can imagine all the difficulties they had. Coming here at night, hiding all these boxes. When the Valley of the Kings became a place that people robbed things everywhere. The priestess of the 21st and the 22nd dynasty did a miracle by saving the mummies of their ancestors. They saved them for eternity.
Over the years, these mummies, along with the mysterious box, were all moved to the Cairo Museum, where they've been tucked away and forgotten. On the surface, it looks like any other major museum. But this one is cloaked in shadows. It's a vast repository of secrets, a treasure trove of the pharaohs, their mummies, and their gold. Zahi Hawass has been walking these halls for nearly 30 years. Searching for the mummies from DB 320, he turns to an original log of the Cairo Museum. It has the dust of decades on it. Every item that's come in and gone out of the museum for the last 100 years is recorded here.
Unknown A or unknown B.
But the log doesn't hold all the answers. There are hundreds of mummies in the museum, and many of them are unidentified. Now it comes down to legwork. And on the third floor, they find her. Behind the glass, the first of the mummies from DB 320. Unknown Woman B, a royal, calm and serene.
You know, this is an unknown female mummy. It looks beautiful. It has a wonderful curly hair. It has a royal style. It's very important to investigate this mummy also.
The serene one was surprisingly easy to find. But the other DB 320 mummy, Unknown A, may not reveal herself so easily. Two of Zahi's museum staff, Dr. Somaya and Dr. Tarek, are charged with the hunt.
Cairo Museum is like a store of knowledge. When you enter a tomb, you'll find a statue or a mummy. But you enter the Cairo Museum, you'll find thousands of mummies and statues. Mummies that no one really ever studies. And that's really what we're doing now. Looking at each unknown mummy of a woman at the Cairo Museum. But you have to look carefully.
2 hours into the search, they found nothing. And Zahi Hawass is not a man you want to disappoint. Then they get a lead. And the search takes them to another corner of the museum. Unknown Woman A has been hiding in plain sight all along. in a glass case on the second floor. Is this the face of a queen? What kind of terrible end did she meet?
Every disaster differs, yet the root of each is strangely familiar.
It was like reading a really badly written novel.
Bizarre coincidences, twisted ironies, and an inconceivable chain of bad luck.
If there's anything you could possibly imagine happening did.
Disaster's perfect formula, brewing on the most deadly. Premieres tonight on Discovery Channel.
The naked chef goes back to his roots.
Love it.
And teases the finest out of Mother Nature.
Happy days, we can start cooking. Delicious.
Proving once again that the simplest things in life serve up the tastiest morsels.
People want to eat food that's been bought and cooked with a bit of integrity and a bit of love. Incredible.
Jamie at Home. Thursday nights at 8 on Discovery Travel and Living.
They defy common belief.
I remember the doctor saying, this is a total miracle.
And can turn any skeptic into believer. Miraculous comebacks that are death-defying on a cutting-edge series. Go deep beneath the human skin to unlock mysteries of the human body. To witness living proof that medical miracles do happen. On Life or Death, a new series premieres Tuesday, 24th of July on Discovery Channel. All new and exciting this August on Discovery Channel. No tall tales go unchallenged with the Mythbusters. The Turtles kick up a storm down under American Chopper, Australia. The fight to be number one, Ultimate Olympics. It's a battle of the superpowers. Mean Machines Transatlantic Challenge. August on Discovery Channel.
At the Cairo Museum, a CAT scan machine is just arriving. It's been rushed all the way from Germany, on loan from Siemens, but they'll only have access to it for a week. They need to get started right away.
Everything seems to be okay.
Their plan? To scan the mummies of Hatshepsut's relatives, to see if they can find distinguishing characteristics, any recurring facial features or genetic markers that could help identify Hatshepsut. On the hunt for the missing queen, it will be a key first step to finding the right mummy. This CT scan machine is the latest generation of computer tomography equipment, a three-dimensional X-ray machine. In just minutes, it actually renders the body in tiny slices, up to 1,700 of them, each less than 5 millimeters thick. Put together, they create a cyberspace mummy, a digital pharaoh. The initial mummies to be scanned are among the most famous in all of Egypt. Thutmose I, Thutmose II, and Thutmose III. They're some of Egypt's greatest pharaohs, national treasures, heavily guarded in the Cairo Museum's Royal Mummy exhibit. And they're all Hatshepsut's relatives, her father, half-brother, and stepson. They've been locked away in pressurized containers, nitrogen-sealed for years, until now. The nitrogen helps stop flesh and bone from decaying. The mummies will be permitted to leave their cases for just one night. They can't be taken out for too long before they start to deteriorate. The team will only get one chance to do this. They start with Thutmose I.
The face is a typical Thutmose. He looks like Thutmose II exactly.
He was one of the most powerful pharaohs of the 18th dynasty. the beloved father of Hatshepsut, who gave birth to the Golden Age of Egypt. He helped turn a nation besieged by foreign invaders into a strong kingdom that stood on its own. Now, once again, after 3.5 millennia, he is carried in state as this ancient mummy encounters 21st century technology. Led by radiologist Dr. Ashraf Salim and scanning specialist Dr. Hani Amer, the scientific team is looking for distinctive traits that will mark the members of the Thutmoses family. They intend to scan all 3 mummies, then compare the images side by side to create a combined family portrait. Step 1, Hatshepsut's father.
We do not know how he died. We don't really have any evidence. But I think the study of the CT scan machine will give us an idea of how he died.
Even at a first glimpse, the nose and cheekbones resemble the statues of Hatshepsut. But almost immediately, Hani's attention is drawn to something else. An area so dense it cannot be part of a human.
We find something unusual in the right thoracic cage. It's bright. It's like a metal. It's like a dense material.
There's a clue what this object might be.
Broken rib. Here. It looks like an arrowhead. It's very amazing. This is the first time I saw this thing inside a mummy. I think this is the cause of death.
The result of the CT scan can rewrite history.
The team now has 1/3 of the information they need to build a composite image of Hatshepsut's family traits. Next up, Thutmoses II, Hatshepsut's half-brother. He was her husband for a few short years, the one believed to be a weak and sickly king, overshadowed by Hatshepsut as the power behind the throne. But genetically, he is a key link in the Thutmoses family.
Look at his buck teeth, exactly similar to the buck teeth of Tutankhamun. And that really can show the similarity between all the family of Dynasty 18.
The most interesting genetic marker is what appears to be evidence of some kind of skin disease.
There is some spots that is not really shown in the face, and they believe that he suffered disease in his body.
Could this skin disease be passed on through the family? Will Hatshepsut herself have pockmarked skin?
The other interesting thing that if you look at his neck, you'll find it's wounded, and some people believe that he died during a battle. Okay, let's go.
The red lines are laser indicators that help the machine focus as it scans. For doctors Ashraf and Hani, even the first images are intriguing.
The crossing of the hands, the royal position, crisscross of the hands.
I mean, it's very important. If this takes 1,700 images of the mummy, it goes inside the mummy.
This is the wound on the left side of the neck. Okay, it's a very deep wound. It's coming from the right side to the left side, as if someone hit.
Hani inspects a different angle of the neck and finds that, like his father, Thutmoses II may have met an early end in battle.
It almost reaches the bone of the cervical vertebrae, which means it's very deep. Any cut or any injury of these blood vessels might lead to death.
But even before this potentially brutal end, Thutmoses II was suffering. The scans reveal the pharaoh's heart had calcifications, proof of chronic heart disease, and that's not all.
This is the spots we are talking about, all over the body, yes. It seems like it's rounded lesions or rounded subcutaneous or cutaneous lesions. It's 0.4, so it's very small.
The body is in fact riddled with pockmarks. While it might be from the mummification process, it's more likely either a skin disease or smallpox. The legend of Thutmoses II's ill health seems to be true. 2/3 of the scans are done. And now the last pharaoh, Hatshepsut's stepson, the boy and man she shared the throne with, Thutmoses III, the leader of 17 famous military campaigns, and perhaps her rival for power, perhaps her enemy.
What's really interesting about this man, the strategy of war that he did, still in the academy military academy, everywhere. They study how Thutmose III did go and capture the city of Mogadishu.
And so the man known as Egypt's Napoleon slides into the CT scan machine.
Something metal. Something metal. I don't know what it is, but we will see. It's just like a metal bracelet on the right forearm.
Howard Carter, when he examined the mummy, found 104 pieces of gold. But the thieves maybe did not search it. This is the end of his hand. For sure it's gold.
Now that the scans are done, the real work begins. As the mummies are taken back to their nitrogen cases, Ashraf and Hani start to map out the common family traits and create the composite image. The first thing they notice is that Thutmose II's skin condition may run in the family.
They have the same skin lesions here. The elevations in the skin, subcutaneous lesions, and this is Thutmose II. Thutmose III has the same lesions. So it is a genetic disease.
As the digital faces of Thutmose I, II, and III emerge, the investigators start to piece together the common denominators.
If you take the features of each mummy by itself and then compare the three together, you will find some similarities.
All seem to share a similar jawline, the shape of the skull, the nose, and the cheekbones. From this forensic study, they can get a sense of the unique facial signature from the Thutmose family, including Hatshepsut.
Visual DNA, of course, this is much more difficult. I mean, you're just comparing very subtle features together, but anyhow, yeah, we can say that's the visual DNA.
Brought together in a remarkable piece of computer wizardry, they give us one image, one face, a composite picture of the Thutmose family. This is the image that will help guide their search as they try to figure out exactly which mummy is Hatshepsut, the face of a woman who ruled one of the greatest empires on earth.
Extreme travelers, oily steeds and Mark Anster show you what it takes to survive during the Stone Age as they rough it out with the tribal people, living with the Kombai tribe, tonight on Discovery Channel.
What if traffic was a thing of the past? What if the most powerful computer you owned was your car? What if science fiction just became science? What will you be driving in the not-so-distant future? The greatest minds in engineering will give you a fascinating glimpse in this special 4-part series, Future Car. Thursday nights on Discovery Channel.
Just by listening. Mythbusters, Thursday nights on Discovery Channel.
He's a psychopath.
Right is wrong.
He's right out here among us.
The truth buried.
They're in the garden because the house is already full.
Depravity reigns.
Fine. Torture. Kill.
6 cases that define the brutality of the serial killer.
You are facing something that you have never, ever seen before.
Crimes that shook the world.
Friday nights on Discovery Channel. All new and exciting this August on Discovery Channel. No tall tales go unchallenged with the Mythbusters. The Turtles kick up a storm down under American Chopper, Australia. The fight to be number 1, Ultimate Olympics. It's a battle of the superpowers. Mean Machines Transatlantic Challenge. August on Discovery Channel.
Didn't have a crime. We didn't have a victim. We didn't have evidence of anything.
I wish I could tell you how I know these things.
I sat there in meditation for a little while. With that, I had a vision.
The image I kept having was this naked body, multiple wounds, rape,
All the information that she saw was exactly the truth.
Crime Scene Psychics. Wednesday nights on Discovery Channel.
On a mission to understand Hatshepsut's rise to power and those who might have tried to wipe it out, Kara is crossing the Nile to see the pharaoh's legacy. As a new pharaoh, Hatshepsut would build a time of prosperity for Egypt. And build is the right word. She starts construction projects all across her country, from Luxor to the Valley of the Kings, and just across the mountains from there is the best example, one of the ancient world's greatest building feats, Hatshepsut's temple at Deir el-Bahari.
Hatshepsut's building program was extraordinary. She built at Karnak Temple significant amounts. She built at Luxor Temple. She may have actually founded that temple. She built here at Deir el-Bahari one of the most grand structures to still survive in ancient Egypt. When a pharaoh's building program is large and extensive, that means that their reign is successful and prosperous. She's showing in stone, I'm capable of doing this. I can bring prosperity to my country.
Kara is on her way to meet Dr. Zbigniew Zafransky. He and his team from Poland have been working to restore Deir el-Bahari for the past 20 years. And in that time, he has felt his bond with Hatshepsut grow.
Strong woman, first of all, beautiful woman. I like her. And I know that she's very, she wants to keep us as long as possible. She wants to possess us, I may say.
If Hatshepsut seems to be still alive for Zafransky, it's because her life is written in these walls.
So paint is preserved so well, it just pops, it's beautiful.
There is no question that Hatshepsut is image conscious. She records her achievements in pictures, including one of the great early expeditions to the distant fabled land of Punt, an ancient El Dorado. This expedition brought back exotic animals, gold, and one of the most prized commodities of ancient Egypt, incense.
And here's the incense here, drawn as little balls. And incense is so important for the ancient Egyptians because they used it to chew if their breath was bad and they had bad hygiene. They used it for in the temples to create a sweet smell for the god, and they also used it for mummification.
The images are vividly realistic.
She's even giving us the details of the fish. She's trying to show us these are Red Sea fish. They're not Nile fish. I was really there. I really went to Punt on this long journey.
It was a big demonstration, big propaganda.
It's a giant billboard to show her power to her people, to show the prosperity of her reign.
She wanted to say, I'm really somebody. You see what I've done? She really created something
that has never been seen before.
That's it.
No.
That's it.
She's an extraordinary person.
And she did something for the first time, and it was because it was Hatshepsut. She was Hatshepsut because of her.
Deir el-Bahari is the public face of the pharaoh, but Kara discovers there was something else to this temple that Hatshepsut was not so public about. A hard-to-define relationship that might have brought her under attack even then. At her side in all of this building was the architect, Senenmut. He was a commoner, but he was the tutor of her daughter, Neferure, the builder of Hatshepsut's great projects. Some said their relationship was even closer. Senenmut helped her build Deir el-Bahari, and like Hatshepsut, his name has been largely wiped out from the temple, except for one place.
We are in the chapel of Hathor.
Hidden in a dark corner, Senenmut left secret images of himself.
So it's perfectly intact. Nobody's gone after it in any way.
Beautiful. He's kneeling, and in front of him you have his name.
So why do you think he placed these in the places that he did?
His figures were behind the wooden door.
So this was never meant to be seen. It was only meant to have him worshiping forever in this sacred space.
Were this king and this commoner in fact lovers? And could this unusual relationship have been the extra factor that led to both being erased from history, or something even more sinister?
I think that it's human nature for us to look at the relationship that's close political relationship between a man and a woman and to inject sexuality into it and to say, of course, they must have been lovers. There's no proof either way, but it's a strange relationship. It's strange that he never married, or that we have no evidence of it. It's strange that he never had children. So I think it'll continue to puzzle us for some time. It's just weird. It's just weird.
And the weirdest puzzle is still to come. Working to discover who wanted to erase Hatshepsut from history and why, the French team has come up with another major find at Karnak. The temple complex, extending 2 square miles, was once dominated by 6 of Hatshepsut's obelisks. Today, only one remains, the tallest in all of Egypt. Originally, a giant wall surrounded it. Underneath the obelisk, the French team has already found a mysterious buried statue, and next to the wall, a cartouche bearing her name. Now, as the digging continues, they find the statue is actually holding hands with someone, perhaps another statue. What do these discoveries tell us about the destruction of her legacy? They'll have to dig further, under the old walls around the obelisk. The entire site rests on a delicate series of metal supports. The wall foundation above them is cracking. They work desperately to keep their site from crumbling in. If they don't shore it up soon, there's a chance the site might come crashing down on them.
The casing wall is in the top of this block, so this block supports everything.
Hundreds of tons of Egyptian history are resting on this one cracked rock. To check whether there's been any impact on the obelisk, Rosemary Leboeck must head 8 stories up. Balanced on top of a column, she'll measure the obelisk against the horizon.
It's straight.
For now, the obelisk is straight, and the site is secure. But to be extra safe, they'll have to get through the rest of the dig quickly.
Wait.
They found it, a twin statue connected to the first.
Incroyable. Her face is very, very beautiful. We found the second statue. We can see the face. It's the same face, similar face. It's very incredible. I'm very tired.
But there's no rest for Rose yet, because right next to the second statue is an intriguing hieroglyph.
Well, there is an inscription here. Ah la la! We can see something. It's very, very interesting.
Rose makes a startling discovery. The statues belong to Hatshepsut's predecessor, an early pharaoh, Neferhotep.
Neferhotep.
Why would she have placed these figures under her obelisk? The French team has a theory that Hatshepsut might have identified herself with this ancient king. Like her, he may have been under attack. Like her, he had problems with the legitimacy of his reign and rose to overcome them.
It's the reuse of a sacred element of the temple in a foundation.
But it's the first time we're discovering something like this under the foundation of the obelisk.
It could be a magic burial of
I think.
of a great ancestor.
It's very incredible for us and for Hatshepsut.
They defy common belief.
And remember the doctor saying this is a total miracle.
And can turn any skeptic into believer. Miraculous comebacks that are death-defying on a cutting-edge series. Go deep beneath the human skin to unlock mysteries mysteries of the human body to witness living proof that medical miracles do happen. On Life or Death, a new series, premieres Tuesday, 24th of July on Discovery Channel. Mother Nature. For centuries, we feared her power. Now, the tide has changed. A new breed of heroes have emerged.
You can't tame nature. You can only design against it.
Who not only battle the forces of nature, they harness her energy.
This is going to power the planet.
They're building the future. A 4-part special. Premieres Monday, 30th of July on Discovery Channel.
All wild and new. This July on Animal Planet. Experience a breathtaking underwater expedition with adventurer Monty Halls in a new season of Great Ocean Adventures. A battle is being waged where the suburbs and the desert meet. When snakes and humans collide, venom yarn. An Air Force base in the African wilderness comes under attack by animals. Wild Squadron. An extraordinary journey to the bottom of the Amazon, home to the strangest creatures on Earth, Amazon Abyss. Beneath its vicious exterior lies a creature shy and vulnerable. Wolverine revealed. All this July on Animal Planet.
We'll take your breath away. This July on Discovery Travel and Living. Being good in the kitchen isn't his only forte. The naked chef uses his green thumbs to dig deep and cook up a storm that's not only hearty but very healthy.
Gee, my nose itches. Ugh.
Everything old seems new again.
It's really good.
When host David Wu
Time to party
takes you through China fast forward. No more toilet breaks when the commercials are on. The most inventive, seductive and bizarre advertising that makes for brilliant TV. When you've got it, flaunt it. Showing off that baby bump is the new fashion must-have. But beware, you've only got 9 months to make it big. Give your senses a treat this July on Discovery Travel and Living.
And there's more. With this new understanding of the statues, the significance of the cartouche they found by the casing wall has become clear. Experts always thought the wall was built by her enemies to cover up her obelisk, but that may not be true.
It's probably the archaeological clue which is confirming that the casing wall was built by Hatshepsut.
The story that we might be getting from the French team, and it's a work in progress, they're still trying to figure it out, may be that the casing wall was put in place by Hatshepsut herself during her co-regency with Thutmose III, and that it was part of a plan to actually show certain parts of the obelisk in a different way.
So not only did Hatshepsut bury statues of old pharaohs to give credence to her reign, she also framed her obelisk with a great wall to showcase it, like the even grander monuments of the successful pharaohs before her. It's clear this is a woman who was working hard on her image, just as someone worked hard later to undermine it. There's a lot more to find here, but the team is out of time. For now, they'll have to shore up the site. It's just too precarious. So what happened to Hatshepsut herself? Where is her body? At the Cairo Museum, Zahi Hawas's team is assembling the mummies that could be the pharaoh. From DB 320, the Screaming Mummy, and the Serene one, plus the Strong Mummy from KV 60. Is one of these mummies Hatshepsut herself? Now that the relatives have been scanned, it's time to examine these 3 potential queens. The startled crowds part as the royals are carried in state once again. Zahi is gathering all the mummies on the first floor of the museum, en route to the CT machine. First, the two corpses from the cliff-top tomb, DB320, the Screaming Mummy and the Serene One. The third possibility is the mummy Zahi shipped back from KV-60, the Strong One. But as he looks over the three, he gets an idea. There was actually one other mummy found in KV-60, brought to the museum in 1908. Some say it was Hatshepsut's nanny, but Zahi wonders, what if it was Hatshepsut herself? What if the priests swapped the coffins to hide her?
No one really tried to look for the other mummy. We have to look at the other mummy.
The third floor is the Cairo Museum's storehouse of secrets. Here in the shadows are countless objects long forgotten. No one's thought about the Hatshepsut nanny in years. No one knows which dusty corner she's been lost in. Zahi's theory, could the two mummies have been swapped years ago? Could the one labeled the nanny be Hatshepsut herself? After hours of searching, success. They know it's the right coffin because the hieroglyphs spell out the nanny's name. This is the coffin that was moved from KV-60. For the first time in 100 years, the mummy sees the light of day.
Nobody have seen this mummy since 1908. No one single photograph has been taken of this mummy at all. We are lucky today.
The initial signs are promising.
If you look at the way that her hand is put, it is a royal style.
And there's another clue that this may not be the nanny. The coffin is too long for the mummy.
We can see 20 inches left. The ancient Egyptian will never do that. And therefore, I can say 100% that this mummy do not belong to this coffin at all.
If it's not the nanny, is it Hatshepsut? This fourth and final suspect is brought down from the top floor to join the others.
It's perfect mummy. The mummification is wonderful. And looking at the face, it's very royal.
Now there are 4 possible Hatshepsuts, laid out together for the first time. Unknown A, the Screaming Mummy. Unknown B, the Serene One. The Strong One from KV-60. And the so-called nanny. To Zahi, these last two look the most royal.
If I have the choice looking at these two, and I can say from my heart, if these two could be one of them is Queen Hatshepsut, I don't know why I favorite this mummy, just from my heart. But your heart cannot do anything. You have to use science to be sure that this is true or not.
Lost for centuries, will one of these mummies turn out to be the real Hatshepsut? After 3,500 years, a scientific team is finally closing in on Hatshepsut. They have 4 suspects. Now they can start to use the latest technology to find the lost queen. First up, Unknown Woman A, the Screaming Mummy. 1,700 scans, each less than 5 millimeters thick. For Doctors Ashraf and Hani, these tiny slivers of information will hold the answers.
We're starting from the head and we'll go down.
Beyond the contorted features, Hani immediately notices an anomaly on the skull.
The bone here is very thin. Part of the bone is not there. Sharp objects or a fall.
Hani has found some kind of trauma to the head. A gash 1/4 inch deep. It could explain the agonized expression. If it happened before death, they'll have to examine the scans in detail to find out. They move on to Unknown B, the Serene One.
Everybody out?
She has the regal bearing of a pharaoh, but it's too soon to tell.
A very good image quality.
And now for the royal that traveled from a forgotten tomb to Cairo for a high-tech examination. The strong one from KV-60. She has the powerful presence of a ruler.
The bone texture looks rather relatively prominent than usual. How significant is this? We do not know yet.
Finally, the so-called nanny, Zahi's personal favorite. To him, this mummy is everything a queen should be.
Really remain good condition, the legs, huh? Perfect.
Very good condition.
He hopes the scans can give him more proof for his theory that the mummies of KV-60 were swapped, and this is the real Hatshepsut. Ashraf and Hani see some evidence of skin disease, as on Thutmoses II.
We just noticed some many very tiny things that are adherent to the skin as well as the hair. What could it be? That's what we were trying to analyze. What could it be? We just need more time.
Every disaster differs, yet the root of each is strangely familiar.
It's like reading a really badly written novel.
Bizarre coincidences, twisted ironies, and an inconceivable chain of bad luck.
If there's anything you could possibly imagine happening, did.
Disaster's perfect formula, brewing on the most deadly. Premieres tonight on Discovery Channel. They defy common belief.
And I remember the doctor saying, this is a total miracle.
And can turn any skeptic into believer. Miraculous comebacks that are death-defying on a cutting-edge series. Go deep beneath the human skin to unlock mysteries of the human body. To witness living proof that medical miracles do happen. On Life or Death, a new series premieres Tuesday, 24th of July on Discovery Channel.
There is a poison so deadly that it has become the stuff of nightmares. Death is only minutes away. And survival depends on how fast help arrives. Every second counts. Venom ER. Mondays on Animal Planet.
All new and exciting this August on Discovery Channel. No tall tales go unchallenged with the Mythbusters. The Turtles kick up a storm down under American Chopper, Australia. The fight to be number one, Ultimate Olympics. It's a battle of the superpowers. Mean Machines Transatlantic Challenge. August on Discovery Channel. They're back with bigger plans, more extreme bikes, and overgrown egos.
God.
More of father versus son.
In their head, for Christ's sake.
Brother versus brother. And Mike versus everyone.
I want to give my father a hard time.
Leading to a design build-off between senior and junior.
You guys are going to pick one of these bikes and somebody smash my dad's thing.
American Chopper, Friday nights on Discovery Channel.
New data in hand, the team can start drawing their first conclusions.
We look at basic things as well as any other minimal or tiny things, so we should not miss any single finding.
The team starts building up the scanned slices into three-dimensional images. First, the doctors look at the mummification style. All four mummies bear similarities.
I would state confidently that they all share the same dynasty.
The 18th dynasty, the New Kingdom. Next, they examine the facial characteristics. They're looking for the long forehead, steeply sloped jawline, and wide nose of the Thutmoses family. It's too early to rule out mummies at this point, but there is one clear leader.
The one that has the most features that resemble the Thutmoses traits is the second one, what we call the KV-60A mummy.
The strong one looks the closest in terms of facial features, but that's only half the battle. They also have to examine the bodies. They're looking for the so-called royal arm position, Queens of the 18th dynasty were almost always buried with an arm across their chest. Since mummies' limbs are often broken or rearranged long after death, it's hard to be 100% sure of anything before scanning. But the CT machine soon reveals the serene one, unknown B, is not likely. The scans prove her arms aren't broken, and they're clearly not in the royal position.
This mummy has both her arms extended beside the body, so the arm is not bent, in other words. So this is for sure not a royal position.
And therefore, this is not the mummy of a queen. The CT machine rules out its first corpse.
I think this is the first one we can rule it out from the list we have.
Next up is Unknown Woman A, the screaming mummy. The images of this twisted corpse still have the power to shock even 3,500 years later. The scans show that her jaw is intact. In other words, her expression now is the same as when she died. A terrible head wound, an agonized scream, all pre-mortem. For Ashraf, there is one inescapable conclusion.
We believe that this mummy died in this position. I mean, she was screaming or scared or whatever. And talking about the wound on the back of her head, this might be a sign of murder.
The only way a pharaoh leaves the throne is by death. Some take their time, and some are hurried to their grave. If this is Hatshepsut, was she murdered? As the forensic team starts to zero in on likely Hatshepsuts, the archaeological team is still trying to understand who wanted Hatshepsut out of the way. Who tried to remove her name from history? An answer may come from an unexpected place. While excavating in the massive Karnak complex, Dr. Betsy Bryan has made a startling new find. An inscription on the buried statue of one of her priests may hold an answer. A remarkable plea on Hatshepsut's behalf to protect her from her enemies.
It is addressed to the goddess awakening her in her lioness form, asking for her to slaughter the enemies of Hatshepsut, or the people who did not like her.
It's a very rare admission of fear from a sitting pharaoh, asking the gods for protection from her foes. Who were they, and how far did they go? Intriguingly, Hatshepsut wasn't the only one to disappear. The names of Senenmut and her daughter Neferure all vanished at around the same time. Is there something in the relationship of Senenmut and Hatshepsut that might hold a clue?
I'm still very much on the fence about the relationship between Senenmut and Hatshepsut. It's so unusual. There is no precedent for it, and I don't really know where to put it.
Dr. Karakuni has gone to meet a Spanish team at Deir el-Bahari. They're investigating Senenmut's tomb. Their theory that Senenmut and Hatshepsut were lovers, a mismatched alliance too shocking for ancient Egypt.
I'm looking at the connection between Senenmut and Hatshepsut and what their relationship was, which Egyptologists are always wondering.
We are the key of the...
Right,
we have the key of the secret.
For Dr. Francisco Martín Valentin, the first clue, Senenmut, the master architect, actually built his tomb directly under Hatshepsut's mortuary temple.
Here's her mortuary temple, here's the tomb right behind us. They couldn't be closer.
In an Egyptian society that prized the afterlife, there is no higher compliment than to have someone join you on the final voyage. But this was never supposed to be an option between a pharaoh